Hello families. Hi my sweet littles, how are you doing today? I'm so happy that you came to Storytime with me today. We have a really cool book that I'm going to be reading to you, and this author is one of my favorites. His name is Graeme, and this story is called My Grandma Lived in Gooligulch. And I always wanted to read this to you when we were doing our Australia segment at school, but since we haven't had that opportunity yet, this book is set in Australia, and you can see the different animals that are on the front that we don't have here in the United States or even in California. Some of them are like the cassowary, which is down here, the kookaburra, which is over here. There's a cockatoo that is here. There's a kangaroo, which is back here. There's many animals in this book that Graeme actually did a beautiful thing. He created a guide for you to be able to look up the animals' names and try to find them. And so there are different pictures. I believe that's what happened in this book. I'm almost 100% positive. Yes, on the inside cover, there's the outlines of the animals in the picture from the very beginning on the front cover, and then you get to find the number of the animal that you wish to go and look at and find the name. So you then go to the number and then you can find out what type of animal that is. I thought that was very clever. I really enjoyed that, and it was extremely helpful because we don't have these animals in our part of the world. Look at this little creature, isn't he so cute? I wonder what he's called. You'd be able to find out. And it's like a little key, like a map, like a treasure map, where you can go and you look and then you find something. Yes, well, he's a marsupial mouse. How cute is he? All right, well, I do have something to share with you today. I have been sprouting a lot of things in my kitchen from different items that I purchased from the store. And once I purchase them and I sprout them in my kitchen, I could then go and plant them in my garden, and I'll have them for a much longer time. And out of that one item that I purchased from the store, I can create many plants from. So here is my newest adventure. Sometimes you will see, do you know what that looks like? It's a red onion, and this red onion was in the bottom of all the other onions, and he decided to sprout a plant right out of the top. This is our beautiful plant. It is a onion plant. So then what I did was I used the rest of the onion, I cut it in half, and now underneath, someday soon, he got a little bit lifted. He's gonna go ahead and grow roots down into the water. And once they get a little more established, guess where I'm gonna put this? In the garden. And one day, I'll be able to pick my very own red onion from my backyard. I won't have to go to the store and buy it. I'm extremely excited for that day. I have garlic, lettuces that I grew just like this. Lettuces, garlic, celery, carrots. What else did I grow? Oh, I'm going to be doing avocados too. That you will get to see as well. And I'll do a potato also. So let's go ahead and put on some lavender and light our candle. And I know I forgot to light our candle the last time. I just got so caught up in talking about other things that I completely forgot. Will have to remind me to do that. Let me go ahead. It smells so lovely. Well, matches, candle, starting to fall. I have a couple matches left, but don't worry, we do have more. We're going to strike it. Remember, this is just for a grown-up. I love seeing the candle lit. Okay, let's put this one right back here so you can see while I'm reading, okay? My Grandma Lived in Gooligulch by Graeme. My grandma lived in Gooligulch near Bandywallop East, a fair way north of Murrumbaum, 500 miles at least, a little west of Lawson's Rest and south of Johnson's Gap, but nowhere much near anywhere that shows up on the map. Now, Gooligulch has got a pub, a main street with a hall, a petrol pump that doesn't work, and not much else at all, except for Grandma, dear old Grand, and this I say with pride, for Gran it was that made old Gooly famous far and wide. So here is the map, and there is Gooligulch right there where Grandma's pointing. I love maps, and look at Grandma. There she is. And look at this beautiful picture. Kangaroos and a cockatoo. And those big towers behind the kangaroos, do you have an idea of what it could be? They are termite mounds. The houses for the termites. They created it out of mud. Very, very creative of them. In Sydney and in Melbourne town, they all knew Grandma's name and all about the animals that Grandma used to tame. And if a stranger came to town, perhaps just passing through, he'd see my Grandma riding atop a kangaroo, or sometimes in a two-wheeled gig, a wombat at the bit, and next to Grandma in the back, a bandicoot would sit. The townsfolk thought it very odd, but Grandma took no heed. She said that she enjoyed the view upon her hopping steed. And as for training wombats, well, it took no time at all to teach them how to pull a gig and come and go at call. So she is very talented. And she's riding a kangaroo. Wow. And here is the wombat attached to a cart. And she's riding along. She taught him just like a horse. She's very talented. Can you imagine? Now, Grandma lived just out of town, a mile beyond the pub, down by Little Billabong that nestled in the scrub. Upon a hillside ringed with trees, her rambling mansion stood, a jumbled maze of tin and canvas, bits of string and wood. And from a window out the back, she'd sit and watch galas fly down beside the pool and drink beneath the evening stars. So these birds called galas, and there she is sitting and watching them. I don't know if you noticed, Graeme first draws in sort of a light brown ink and a sketch, but then he has a colorful page. Look at those galas, aren't they lovely? In years gone by, the house was full of birds, both big and small, rosellas, eagles, coots, and magpies roosting in the hall, while in the tiny living room an old goanna sat and played a game of two-up with a dingo and a rat. My Grandma whiled the hours away, conversing with the coot, or listening to the wombat play a tune upon his lute. Oh my goodness. Look at all these birds filling the house. How must be the game of two up, and I'm not familiar. Joshua and I would talk about this all the time. We see that he has something wooden in here. It looks like there is a coin, and perhaps he's using his hands to flip the coin in some type of game. And look, all of the creatures. There was a time, the locals say, when emus came to dine and stood about all evening drinking eucalyptus wine. They dressed for the occasion looking rather out of date and were spreading idle gossip in a less than sober state. But then a frill-necked lizard gave one ancient bird a scare, and then the dinner guests all panicked, running madly here and there. Some kookaburras heard the noise and came to watch the show and laughed so much that Graeme sternly told them all to go. By the time the fuss was over, there was not a guest in sight. But then, that's the way with emus, Graeme said. They're not too bright. So here's the kookaburras who came in that were laughing at what had happened. And here's all the emus. Being silly. And there's the frill-necked lizard who frightened them, and then they started running all around, knocking things over. One year, when it was very hot, old Graeme went away and took the wombat with her on a seaside holiday. She didn't go by elephant or on a polar bear. Besides, you ought to know, you don't find elephants there. She didn't own a camel, and they cost too much to buy. So Graeme bought some goggles and decided she would fly. The eagle wouldn't take them, and the coot was far too weak. But a pelican consented, so they climbed into his beak. And off they flew, quite low at first, then climbing very high. And as they turned towards the sea, the wombat waved goodbye. So here he's picturing the things that she could have possibly taken. There's the camel. And he has a lot of things packed on him for travel. But she chose to fly inside of the pelican's mouth. That must have been a very big pelican. They flew across the desert sands and over mountains too, until at dusk they reached a place where giant tree ferns grew. The pelican came gliding down to land beside a creek, and Graeme and the wombat climbed down gladly from its beak. Then, while the pelican relaxed and Graeme cooked the tea, the wombat wandered down the creek to see what he could see. So this is the scene of where they've come down to land. These are the lots of trees and the ferns, and then perhaps a stream or river. Oh, and here is a beautiful scene. You can see it up close now. You can see the pelican resting. And the wombat. The trees were full of creatures with unfriendly, glowing eyes, and giant furry spiders hunted giant furry flies. A baby tree snake slithered by and gave him such a start that poor old wombat turned and fled with terror in his heart. And so they spent the night there, but the wombat stayed awake, looking nervously around him for a wombat eating snake. He did not want to be eaten by a snake. But do you see the snake? The snake is inside all of those plants there. Do you spy him? So he was nervous, the little wombat, because there were things that he could see looking at him in the dark. So this is the darkened picture. But, so it shows you that it's nighttime, but it shows you the creatures that are hiding inside all of those nooks and crannies. You can see There's Grandma right here, sorry. And there's the wombat, eyes wide awake. When morning came, they journeyed on and reached the sea at last. The rolling waves came crashing in. The tide was running fast. But undeterred, my grandma donned her frilly bathing gear and dived into the foaming surf without a trace of fear. She sat upon her blow-up horse while Wombat went to sleep. The pelican went fishing where the sea was not so deep. But when the Wombat woke, the tide had carried her away, and no one seen my grandma, even to this very day. So you can see here, the wombat is sleeping under the umbrella, and way out here is Grandma. And there is the pelican going off to find some fish. And here's Grandma in the ocean in big waves. And yet, I have a feeling that my grandma's still alive, having drifted to an island where she's managed to survive. From there, perhaps she made her way to England or to Spain or maybe San Francisco on a Western railway train. She could be taming tigers in the jungles of Tingur. Here's a scene where she could be on an island or on a train or on a boat. Or in a jungle, taming tigers. But I think she's back in Gooligulch just like before. Look how pretty. There's Grandma right here, heading up to her house. Bum, bum. This is a cute book. But Grandma had lots of adventures, and she was very talented by being able to train all those animals. If your imagine takes you places to create beautiful stories like this, just imagine how many hearts and minds you can reach by spreading those wonderful words to others when you write them down and draw your pictures. I invite you to think of something fantastic today and have either your mom or dad or loved one help you write it out or create a story of your own. I wish you all the happiness today. I love you. Goodbye, sweet peas. Mwah.